WrestleDream 2025 is an AEW pay-per-view going down this weekend, and we just had AEW Dynamite, so what better time to try and predict the show? And my first prediction is it will be really long, right? It will take at least 4 hours, maybe 4.5 hours, but is it going to be any good? That's what we got to get into. Also, please subscribe if you are here. We do fun, positive videos every day, and then you're allowed to yell at me if I ever don't like something, saying, "You said that was positive," forgetting what positivity is. We've gone down the wrong pathway. Let's go. I'm going to throw this one in straight away so I don't forget. Mercedes Mone, after Dynamite, said she is going to be at the show. I did think it was quite weird that we know she's taken on Persephone on CMLL on Friday, which will probably be quite a decent match. I kind of feel like Mercedes Mone on AEW TV needs to be involved in bigger, more intricate programs because she's a massive star. I love the fact that she's trademarked Ultimo Mone. Maybe she's going to take on Ultimo Dragon. Maybe he's going to turn up with the famous picture with him with his 10 belts and say they should fight. I'm just going to throw it out there. Based on nothing, I've not seen a rumor, I've not seen a speculation, but if it is going to be a surprise or somebody random, I'm going to say it's going to be Dakota Kai. Is Dakota Kai a WWE name? Most probably. Again, totally random, but sometimes I do these prediction videos and I just focus on the matches, and I like to do bold predictions, so I'm going to say that's going to happen. And you know what? Just have Dakota Kai win. Why not, right? If you want to turn somebody into a star, whoever it is, let's say there is some kind of surprise match, although saying that, it doesn't have to be a match here, right? It can just be somebody getting in the way of Mercedes in order to kickstart one of these programs we just talked about. But whoever it is, if you're bringing in somebody new, the idea, of course, is to make sure they feel like a big deal within All Elite Wrestling. Mercedes has just got to the 10-belt level. She's trademarked that name. Can you imagine if a babyface who was super over took one of them away? To me, that is just great storytelling. Wait and see. Why not Dakota, right? Everybody loves her. Otherwise, we are getting the Hurt Syndicate versus The Demand. I always forget their name. In a tornado tag. I really have enjoyed this feud. I just think we've done it out of sync. This should be the street fight, and everything else should have gone together. I think some people misconstrued some of the stuff I said on my Ups and Downs series. You can check that out on What Culture Wrestling. I don't hate it at all. I just think, yeah, if you were going to do a Google map of this, you'd sort of start at your house, and then you go to the shop, then you go back to your house, then you go to the grocery store, then you go back to your house, and then finally you get to where you need to go. Not that it's a massive problem, it's just something that feels a little bit rickety-wickety, but they all rule. Like, the Gates of Agony are now over as a tag team, especially because they beat Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley on Dynamite. Whoever beats the Hurt Syndicate? Nobody. And of course there was shenanigans there with Ricochet hitting the Spirit Gun, and that's why obviously the Hurt Syndicate will win here, but I don't mind that at all. I actually think Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin and MVP, when he is going to get involved, although I think he's going to be a less is more type of a guy, keep them as strong as possible. I think Bobby Lashley should go after the world title eventually. Bobby Lashley kind of sits in that he's more of a babyface, but he could be a heel. I would do Hangman versus Bobby Lashley instead, like a massive threat. And if Hangman beats that guy, a guy that never gets pinned, it's going to be huge. And if anybody deserves to, what's the word I'm looking for, have some say over their career, is Shelton Benjamin, right? How amazing has he been ever since he's debuted in AEW? Can you imagine if WWE hadn't booked him in stupid programs like Shelton? You've got to look around when somebody interviews you. The most bizarre thing that has ever happened. You've got a guy that is just pure talent, and we're going to book you like you're having some kind of, I don't even know what that was. I can't even think of a funny way to compare it to because it was so stupid. An MVP is just a good person to have in wrestling. I wanted it to be more poetic than that, but he benefits it, and I think he brings stuff in. The Hurt Syndicate will win. That's why we gave Gates of Agony the victory over them on Dynamite. I think ultimately, I'm talking long term here, not in the next 6 weeks or anything, the Gates of Agony or the Fences of Pain should be the tag team champions within the next year, we'll say, to give ourselves loads of leeway. And Ricochet should hold a championship as well. Be like the TNT title, maybe go after the world title eventually. I think he's proven he's laid his foundation now. And as for the Hurt Syndicate, again, I think Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin would be good world title contenders because they both absolutely rule. This will be a ton of fun. MVP can still go. Everybody else is brilliant. Again, tornado tag. They're going to have all the fun. I'm sure somehow it'll be no DQ as well. But I'm going with the Hurt Syndicate. I think that's why we did do that on Dynamite. But I bet you it'll be really good. And given that we have at least 8 matches on this card, and more will probably get announced because they just pop up on social media, this will be not quick in terms of length, but the pace of it will be fast. It'll be a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of hard-hitting moves. So when you do have a longer pay-per-view, you do need a variety match, for lack of a better term. This can probably do it. Raw's again Jamie Hayter versus Thekla, which is very, very interesting because Thekla is still relatively new. Obviously, she started the Triangle of Madness. If they recruit everybody else, they can become a square, then they become a hexagon, and eventually an octagon. I don't know what comes after that. A quintuplet? No, I've just made that up. I don't know what that is. But Jamie Hayter obviously just sort of come back over the last few weeks. It was Jamie Hayter too who said, I want blood and guts, which isn't going down until November, although we're only a few weeks away as of me talking. I guess Thekla kind of needs to win because you want the heel to win the first match in order to carry this on. This just needs a little bit more story. I don't mind the fact Thekla popped up and said, hey, Jamie, when I wrecked you a few months ago, you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, because I mean, it's a little bit, something wrestling sometimes needs a bit of a hard-hitting stuff, but I suppose because Jamie Hayter then had to take some time off, this actually did work because it's better than just ignoring it, which wrestling often does. But you need, I think the Triangle of Madness actually have to get involved here. It makes me a massive hypocrite because I'm now leaning into sort of get out of jail booking. But this one has to be sort of the starting off point, even though they've sort of been feuding anyway, in the sense you can say they're not very good promos. They are very good promos. I hate it when people tell me that. The only way to get better is to get better. And of course, somebody will think they're good because we all have different opinions. But let's put them in the ring and let's have Jamie Hayter promo against Thekla and have Thekla throw one back too. Thekla did do something on Dynamite, which I liked. So I'm poisoned, I'm toxic, and I'm going to murder you. Probably will end in a pick your poison match. The best pick your poison match is in Mystery Wrestling. Make sure you check this out, where the first person went to pick their poison and it was actual poison and they died, and therefore it meant they won the match. And in Mystery Wrestling, that person is still dead. It's the greatest promotion on the planet, and I love it. Shout out to Evil Uno. They're coming to Cardiff in January, I think. Hopefully I'll be a part of that. I have no idea. That's basically me trying to book myself on somebody else's show, which I should not do, but it comes from a place of love. So I would have Thekla win, involve the Triangle of Madness. Who the hell's in that? Julia Hart and Blue Sky, right? Blue Sky, Sky Blue. And yeah, then Jamie Hayter. They could probably tie into the blood and gut stuff too, because then you re-establish them as a team, and Jamie Hayter can then spend the next few weeks getting her team. Who the hell is going to be her team? Maybe Willow Nightingale or Harley Cameron, somebody like that. But I think I give it to Thekla, then we can establish her. But let's not forget about Jamie Hayter too. Jamie Hayter's sort of been lacking in momentum over the last couple of years because she was super duper massive as the champion, got injured, was out for ages, kind of had a funny return, and then she had to go away, like I say, after that initial Thekla attack. You know they're going to kick each other's ass. That's all they ever seem to do. Even Jamie Hayter versus Sky Blue on Dynamite was them just punching each other in the face. And all the technical matches with Queen Aminata, oh my gosh, they give me a heart attack. I'm like, what's going to happen? They'll do it as well, but once again, it will be able to stand on its own 2 feet. I would give it to Thekla, but then let's carry this on, right? Let's carry out all the way on to Blood and Guts, and then you've used it. We talked about this in the Leon Slater-Javon Evans match. People can be defeated. As long as you have a story for after the fact and you let somebody promo, it doesn't matter. It's if you lose and vanish from TV, well then yeah, you're totally screwed. Brody's also going to be taking on Takeshita and Okada. This one's more difficult than I realised. Brody should win, and it should be the start of the end of Okada versus Takeshita. They should just break up. Why stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne? The Don Callis clan, whatever, has 42,000 people in it. They don't need any more. The issue being, Takeshita just won the IWGP Championship. Ain't no way he's getting pinned. There's no flipping way. Maybe I overthink the relationship between AEW and New Japan, and AEW has more say over that thing. You can beat Okada, but it's rare. You don't often see him get pinned, especially because he beat Kenny Omega All In. But if Brody were going to win, that rhymes, so it must be true, how do you do that? But I guess at the same time, the thing is, it has to be Takeshita taking the pin, because you can't have Takeshita, unless Okada's going babyface and Takeshi's going to stay heel. But if we go with the way that Takeshi's going to become the brand new babyface and Okada isn't, it has to be Okada screwing Takeshita over. He leaves him high and dry. He ignores a tag. He just smacks him right in the face because he doesn't like him anymore. And Don Callis either has a meltdown or he's like, ha, we got you, Takeshita. How dare you go to Japan and miss my birthday celebrations? I really enjoyed that video on Dynamite as well, which was Takeshita like Skyping in or whatever. Skype doesn't exist anymore. And Okada did his how I pushed the wrong button thing, but he did it with a little bit of menace in his voice. Nice callback there if you're a nerd like me. But I don't think you should take the belts off Brody at the moment. They're cooking, right? And they had that match on either the Dynamite or the Collision portion of the show. Was it the main event of the Dynamite? I can't remember. There was so much wrestling last night. But the point was, we made a very big deal of Brody King getting the pin, despite other people being in that match. So, I guess, oh man, it's so hard. I think Brody will win. But obviously, I like to try and offer more than that. I guess Takeshi's getting pinned. That's just not going to happen. That's a stupid prediction. There ain't no way the IWGP champion, less than a week after winning that championship, or just over a week, is going to take a pin. I don't think so. And maybe Takeshita screws a card. Either way, Brodito's going to win. This one I find super interesting. I think you should all get in the comments and talk about this. And bring in wrestling politics, which is a rare thing that I throw out there. But I do think this one is seeped in it. Unless they're going to do the Okada Takeshita match in Japan. That's kind of the payoff here. I do not know. Maybe they do win the tag titles. I'm not going to go with that. Screw it. I'm just going to say Okada screws over Takeshita, and then that builds to their feud, which we should absolutely do. What's the next pay-per-view? Full Gear Revolution? I think Full Gear is before Revolution. Or is it Double or Nothing? I get confused with the AEW schedule because we also got another one as well at World's End. We got loads, right? Takeshita versus Okada is a massive deal. And you could even do it in New Japan and people would lose their minds, especially if it was over the IWGP Championship. But they shouldn't be winning the tag titles. I actually think this is a story that we don't need to elongate. I think we've already planted the seed, so Brody will win. I'll go with Okada screwing over Takeshita, but yeah, even I think that's stupid, and somebody should shoot me out of a cannon. Carl Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe for the TNT title. I think we should just pull the trigger and give it to Mark Briscoe. I don't think we are going to do that, so this is going to be, again, me being bold and me trying to manifest things into existence. Carl Fletcher has proven at the main event level he can succeed. Had a great match with Hangman Adam Page, and the buy rate was really good. Now, I hate talking about buy rates and numbers because who the flub cares, but for the people that go, Carl Fletcher's not ready, well, at the moment, all the statistics tell us that he is. And also AEW needs new top guys, because I think Kenny Omega is in a very interesting place. Swerve Strickland's not there. Will Ospreay's not there. If we can turn Carl into that sort of level, then those guys do come back. You are just packing out that main event scene. So I'm not saying that he has to lose the TNT title and then not go after it again, but actually I would advocate for that. And there's other people he could probably fight with, and then it's just other people that can go after that belt. And Eddie Kingston, for example, no idea what he's doing at the moment. Him and Hook have done somewhat of an open challenge, I think, for the pre-show. Sounds like they're going to be going after the tag team title belts. Eddie Kingston has to cut a big promo. Again, I don't know what's going on here. There could be something else, but I find it very strange. But I would just sort of almost reset your mid-card. You wouldn't do Eddie Kingston versus Mark Briscoe, of course, but I think a babyface should hold the championship and we just get some heels that are going out and we to elevate some people and we elevate Kyle, and then you're sort of freshening up the whole show. Also, Kyle Fletcher doesn't need to be the TNT champion at the moment, right? And Mark Briscoe is finally in this position. Maybe I should look at it from the other point of view. Mark Briscoe has had so many opportunities and he beat MJF. And I think if you beat MJF, yes, you should get a title shot, which we are doing. But given that it's not the world title and it's more of a mid-card title, for lack of a better term, Mark Briscoe has to win in order to put a full stop on it. Doesn't have to hold it for 6 months or anything like that. But also, people love Mark Briscoe, and wrestling doesn't need to be overcomplicated. He can just beat the bad guy. It's not going to affect Kyle Fletcher. We just talked about that. Make sure he has a story. If he does go up the card, he's going to reestablish himself. He's proven he can do it. I'm going to go with Mark Briscoe. I don't think I'm right. I think I'm going to be sad. I just think it's been too many also runs for Mark Briscoe, and the guy's still beloved. So let's not push the audience any more than we need to do. They want to get behind him, so give them a reason to get behind him and give him the TNT title. Have him do an open challenge, right? Go back to the Cody Rhodes days. Mark Briscoe would be brilliant at that. Don't think it is going to happen, but I'm still rooting for that guy because he's brilliant. They're also getting the Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. The winner of this should be the number one contender for the AEW tag team titles. Still think we can take those tag titles and elevate them up back to where they once were. Brody are doing a good job because, again, they're having this sustained run where they do have good matches all of the time. It's interesting because the Young Bucks versus Brody makes more sense, but the Jurassic Express have only just got back together. It was the same deal when they teamed with Kenny Omega last night. We made sure that it was, I can't remember if it was Jack Perry or Luchasaurus that made the physical cover, but it was their doomsday device that got the win. Obviously, Kenny Omega was smashing out moves, but he wasn't responsible for the 1, 2, 3, which I think was important. The tag team won the tag team match. And I mean, it's a blood feud in many ways. Not blood feud, but it's a proper feud in many ways because the Young Bucks, obviously, and Jack Perry used to be friends. That is kind of mad that Kenny Omega has just forgiven Jack Perry. I want to make it very clear. I think we did a lot here to reestablish Jack Perry as a babyface, took the bullet for Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was refusing to tag him in. I still think at one point before all this, Kenny Omega should just punched him in the face because he did try to murder the man, but maybe that's just to my taste. I do not know. But if they all of a sudden lose here, I mean, Jack Perry as a babyface just works. Massively respect he tried the scapegoat stuff, especially given the CM Punk madness that went around with it at the time. It was the catalyst for him trying it out. This tag team with Luchasaurus just works. I don't know whose idea this was. It was Tony Khan's. Pat on the back for that guy, because sometimes you do just need to go back to, well, nostalgic feelings, which you can do in AEW now because it's 6 years old, and almost reset the deck, and especially after the stuff that Luchasaurus has been through. We should just celebrate the fact that Luchasaurus is on TV because he went through a horrific health situation. I'm just glad he is okay. But yeah, the Young Bucks losing right now doesn't feel feasible either. I'm a bit worried that Jack Perry is going to turn on Luchasaurus. This Jurassic Express thing was an absolute ruse. I think that is a mistake. Now, execution is everything. You may watch it and it may rebuild the Jack Perry heel character. That will be my kind of bold prediction, but I'm not going to rubber stamp it. I'm just going to throw it out there so I can clip this and put it on the internet to prove I do know what I'm talking about, even though I don't. I will go with the Jurassic Express. Obviously, the money is on the line as well. But then Brody versus the Jurassic Express makes no sense, and I don't think Brody are going to lose the titles. The Young Bucks are going to win. I mean, why do you even watch these videos? There's no confidence in them whatsoever. But I just think you have to think about the next pay-per-view, and I don't think Brody King and Bandito are losing them anytime soon. Them versus the Jurassic Express is a crazy match. Unless you do it on TV, and the Young Bucks kind of upset the apple cart, and you go into a triple threat. But then that's going to be hard to justify as well, because if the Young Bucks have already lost, what kind of message is that sending to the rest of your locker room? Oh, just upset matches, and we'll throw you into title opportunities. Fair play to AEW, though. I like matches that have proper jeopardy, and you sit there and go, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, which I've done here. I will go with the Young Bucks. Although I'm not confident at all. This is another one to get in the comments with. Man, the more I think about it, the more I think Jack Perry is going to turn heel. Remember that first match where he tried to undo the turnbuckle pad? No. Young Bucks. But I don't know. You let me know. Maybe I'll try and do a poll down there. Can we do that anymore? YouTube? No idea. Changes every single day. I just think if Brodido are there, but then what does the Jungle Express do? The Jungle Express. That's not their name. I'm sticking with the Young Bucks, even though I'm stupid. Chris Statlander versus Toni Storm for the Women's World Championship is on the line. The good thing about this is that you could have Toni Storm win and Chris Statlander lose, and that would be fine. And then you could have Statlander win it back in November, and that would be fine too. You can throw a belt around every now and then if you have two people that are especially babyfaces and the crowd loves. And that's what you have here. Now, I'm not saying that AEW has to do that, but I think they have the option if they want to, sort of having a back and forth discussion about it. Ultimately, I think Chris Statlander is going to win. I think Toni Storm is going to go off in her own direction here. And I think it's going to tie into blood and guts because Toni Storm will be on the babyface team. Do not turn her heel. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But I think during that blood and guts match, you are going to get a brand new Toni Storm, a mad Toni Storm, the real comptroller, the real Toni Storm. I think she's going to be violent. I think she's going to be brutal. I think she's going to be bloody based on the fact, as she said, I'm willing to dive. I don't have the championship. Who am I? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a shell of my former self. And Chris Statlander already told us she's a Pokemon. She said that during the last words. I think the segment was called I'm evolving all the time, she said, and I can't help it because I'm a child. Like, okay, sweet. You're going to enter your final form. I did like that. I like the fact that we kind of started backstage and then moved to the ring. More often than not, you want to start in front of the fans because you get that live electric energy. But we watch so much wrestling TV. Let's muck around with this. Let's muck around with the format. Don't do the same thing every week because it does get a bit boring. I think that Chris Statlander can win. I think that she can win rather convincingly. I don't think you need any run-ins or any shenanigans. I think we can just sell this as Toni Storm has come across her nemesis, even though they are sort of friends, and she doesn't know how to beat her. So maybe Toni Storm needs to go back to the drawing board. Again, maybe she becomes some crazy, insane person, which does tie into blood and guts. But that's only going to help Chris Statlander. If Toni Storm has held this belt for this amount of time, and then you want to pass it on to somebody else, which is essentially the foundation of all professional wrestling, who better than Chris Statlander? OG has been through many iterations. She started off as an alien. Everybody likes her, keeps getting better and better in the ring. Can argue it the other way too, that she does have an elongated reign. I think what we should actually do with Chris Statlander is, yes, beats Toni Storm here. You could probably get a third match out of it, even though it's sort of back-to-back losses, but I think Toni Storm is so over, you can. And then maybe Mercedes Moné loses the TBS belt, and that's her first proper feud, but Chris should win. And then there'll be somebody else not even thinking of her right now, maybe a Thekla or a Jamie Hayter. But let's sort of have a couple of, not one-and-dones, let's have some proper feuds that Chris Statlander can sink her teeth into, tell some stories, do some big promos. Because I think the more Chris Statlander does it, the more complete she's going to get as a performer. And I think her ceiling is super duper high. Yes, you could probably argue that Toni Storm, in terms of star power, is higher above her. But I think Chris Statlander, if she keeps doing this, can enter the same stratosphere. She just I don't want to say she wants to get more comfortable. That sounds way unfair. But I think right now she's sort of finding herself as a champion. I mean this in a massively positive way. Everybody should do this when they first won a championship belt. You do need to sort of elevate your character a little bit. And you can see her doing it, but you got to give her time to do it. So Chris Statlander will win. It can be with that stupid seatbelt pin as well. Or she can drop her with the Saturday Night Fever, it will be. It's on Saturday night, right? That's an awesome move as well. It can even be that she catches Toni Storm 1, 2, 3. It is meant to be a wrestling match. But this isn't something that needs shenanigans or nonsense, because the shenanigans or nonsense will come from whatever Toni Storm does afterwards when she loses again. Like this feud, like the fact they're doing babyface versus babyface, but they have some edge. It is Adam Copeland. He did go to AEW. But I'm going to Chris Statlander just because I think, in 6 months' time, you could have another top star, which goes back to the Carl Fletcher stuff. Let's establish everybody so that other people can move up into your position, and then we continue to go around the sun. I don't know what that point meant, but I'm going with Chris Statlander. When we get to Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley in the I Quit match, I said this on Ups and Downs. I'm going to say it here as well. I'm going to start with my big headline. You are allowed not to like this. People seem to miss that when I say it. I guess because it kind of ruins any comeback. If you hate this style of match, that's fine. I'm no problem with that whatsoever. More power to you. But it is going to be disgusting. And it's going to be horrific. And it's going to push the tastes of wrestling, and it's going to make you upset, and it's going to make you go, children shouldn't be watching this, even though you probably don't have any kids, so why are you worrying about it? And if you do have kids, just don't let them watch it. It's called being a parent, as far as I know. My point is, I can't stand it when we have a Texas death match, or we have something like this with two people who will quite literally do anything, and then you get people outraged. So what are you outraged about? I just use the same analogy I use on What Culture, right? It's like walking into a pizzeria and kicking the table because there's no burgers. It's a pizzeria. You know what a pizzeria is, and you know what AEW is going to do here. If it was 2021, maybe, or 2020, 2021, whatever, I would be, okay, fine, I get it. You're still sort of getting used to it. But ever since... Who did it to who? Was it Swerve to Hangman or Hangman to Swerve? I think it was Hangman to Swerve. Ever since they drunk each other's blood and then stuck syringes in each other's gums, we've made it very clear what direction we're going to go in. There's a part of me that likes it a lot. Because if somebody advertises me a Texas death match and they hug and watch Care Bears, I'm like, I kind of feel like you pulled the wool over my eyes. They go too far for me. But I still get it, right? I understand what AEW is doing. We move it out the side. It's going to be horrific. I think given everything we did on Dynamite and Collision, it has to be Darby Allin. It has to be. Especially because this, to me, still feels like the downfall of Jon Moxley ever since he did lose the world title. But Pac murdered him when they did that cool Batman skit, which I really, really liked. There was a sheet of glass between them, like they were in a prison. No idea where they decided to meet. And they had this really cool back and forth conversation. I get that's not for everybody, but it goes back to my original point. Do brand new things in wrestling, because I watch it every single week. When Pac somehow broke into the good guy's side and just slammed his head against the glass, because it is Darby, he may have done this for real, and he was just bleeding all over the place. He told Jon Moxley he's going to strangle him with the flag that he planted on top of Mount Everest. The cops are fine with this. Anyway, later on in Collision, Darby Allin comes out, gets whooped by the Death Riders, but refuses to quit. He lays this flag out, and Jon Moxley gave him the Death Rider on it. It was really good, but it also made me laugh because I am a child. It's like paper. It's not going to hurt anymore, is it, Jon Moxley? I think the finish to this, and I don't mind them going back to the well, I like Jon Moxley having a weak point, is much like Hangman Adam Page quite literally hanged Jon Moxley with the chain, I think it was, at All In. I think Darby Allin should do the same thing with the flag. Whether or not it has the sort of weight distribution to hold a man, I don't know. But I love this idea, because it's happened to Moxley before, that if you choke Moxley, that's what gets him. You have to literally take him to the point his brain says, we're going to die. And that's what makes him say, I quit. Because essentially he said, I quit at the All-In match with Hangman, right? Tapping out is doing that too. So I would tie this into a thing. That's his kryptonite, essentially. And Darby Allin knows that. I also think 95% of this match is going to be Darby Allin being brutalized. I think it's going to be some things that we can't even imagine right now. There's going to have blood. You could argue this should go in the main event because nothing's going to follow it, because they are going to hit such crazy levels. I'm going to be intrigued by it. I'm intrigued by it now. I do want to see what they're going to do. If we could stay away from ears, I think we've kind of maxed out the amount of ear damage we need to do. I think Darby Allin needs to win. Again, he kind of lost at the coffin match. Since his comeback, he has been defeated. He's also been doing the PR round, done a lot of interviews this week as well, which has been super cool. You give him the big win. You could arguably take him up to world title level, but let's just, even if we establish him just below that, ready to explode as and when, people gravitate towards Darby, whether you like it or not, so you should always lean into that. And he is a super pro AEW guy, which is what you want from people that are going to be associated with your company. I mean, he climbed Mount Everest and stuck a flag up there. That's pretty damn cool. So wear your glasses for this one in order to try and shade your eyes, or you can hide behind the sofa, whichever works. But yes, Darby Allin wins via flag choke, which in the fictional wrestling record books will actually read quite funny, and then you'll watch the match and likely have a breakdown. Which brings us to Hangman Page versus Samoa Joe for the World Championship. I mean, Samoa Joe's not going to win. I don't think Samoa Joe should win, even though I think Samoa Joe is the best. Did I? I mean, it was fine what they did on Dynamite. I mean, they kind of got away with it because Collision happened right afterwards, so it didn't feel like the main event. I still would have used 10 minutes of Collision after we'd had who was it? It was the Ops taking on LFI. I would have used the first 10 minutes or whatever of Collision to have a Hangman cut a promo on Joe and Joe cut a promo on Hangman. They're so damn good. They could have gone crazy here. And then they finish it off with a bit of a mini brawl. Instead, what they did was just a little bit of a scuffle, a little bit of a I don't like you, and they kind of fought over the belt. And Joe was like, you don't know what you're getting in for. I think the match is going to rule. I think Samoa Joe, in terms of modern wrestlers, is a GOAT. I think Hangman, in terms of this brand new wrestling war we're in, is, one of the guys that we should always talk about because he's brilliant. But Hangman Adam Page has to win. I don't know where he goes after that. Like, what we're doing at the moment is Hangman versus Kyle Fletcher, sort of a one and done. This Samoa Joe is going to be a one and done. He needs a big program, which is probably going to be the return of Max or Jacob Friedman, which could be after this. Like, Max has been gone for a few weeks now, but then MJF should win the title too. Don't forget, he's still got that magical contract, so we could lean into that. I just don't think you need to take the belt off Hangman at the moment, even though I think Samoa Joe is great. He did an interview this week. I don't know who with, so forgive me. But he said, after, I think it was either this contract or he'll sign one more contract, but he's thinking about retirement. So Cena's gone, AJ Styles is gone, Samoa Joe is going to go. Samoa Joe said he's not going to have like a John Cena retirement thing. He's just going to sneak away and we'll never hear from him again. But let's not forget the last time we gave him the belt, he totally smashed it. Anytime you put him in this position, he totally smashes it. He's the best. He's the man. He's underrated in many ways. What TNA would have been without him, I do not know. So I'm always going to shower with him praises. And he's the best interview. Just comes across as such a cool dude. And I've had the pleasure to interview him. And he really is like that. So he will understand what he needs to do business-wise here. And they'll come up with an awesome match. Probably with Samoa Joe whooping Hangman's Adam Page's ass. Big comeback. Buckshot Lariat 1, 2, 3. Probably a marker, a handshake of respect. Could be the last title Samoa Joe ever goes for from a world title perspective anyway, which kind of breaks my heart. But this really can be, I don't think Samoa Joe is going to retire anytime soon, but this really could sort of feel like the beginning of the end, I should say. I'm kind of overdoing that a little bit, but Hangman Adam Page taking out the future, which is Kyle Fletcher, and then taking out the past, which is way unfair because Samoa Joe could be the present. But you know what I'm saying. He's been around since, 2002 or maybe 2005? A good 20 years because he is one of the best. I think it will be great, though. And again, you could end with a surprise. MJF could come back at the end of the show, to be honest with you, and say, I'm cashing in my 1 week contract right now. I don't mind that so much, but I guess it's more of a WWE thing. I've now shot myself in the foot, but WWE always feels like they need to do surprises. AEW is usually more than happy having a winner and going full stop. So you probably could get away with doing something, I can't believe it. But ultimately, no matter what the 3 letters are above the marquee, you can just have somebody win, somebody loses. And that's the story that you leave the fans with, right? We don't need to move too much into shenanigans, but it will be good. But I think Hangman Adam Page will win. Will I be right? Actually, this one, I think probably yes. Now, more important than all of this, I want to know who you think is going to win, so drop them down there. I always keep an eye on it, and if you get a full house, well, you deserve some kind of a prize, I guess, so make sure you message me. The prize is probably just going to be me mentioning your name on a video. If you are down there, please do like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. There's a hype thing now. Please hype the video. Apparently that works wonders. Man, do I need to get views up. Different story for a different day. What else do we do? We go to grillermind.com/Simon. Literally, I got my Gorilla Mind energy drink right there just to prove, well, you probably think I'm lying. But I use this stuff because I think they're great. Use my code Simon, get some money off. Otherwise, patreon.com/Simon316. My watch along is only $5. Come say hello on social media at Simon316. Get a TikTok, Simon Miller 316. Just search for my name, Simon J. Miller. That's where most of my producing wrestling promos have now gone because it's just the only platform that doesn't punish me for using footage. Please go check them out. If you don't find them funny, never watch them again. Give them one shot. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, yes, come get a cameo as well. Birthdays, Christmas, Hanukkah, shout-outs, babies, weddings, whatever. I love doing those. They're super fun. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon316. Otherwise, enjoy the pay-per-view. Of course, we'll be back this weekend to review it. If you are going to the UPW show this Saturday, I'll see you there. I'm facing Rhino. I'm going to die. So maybe I won't review WrestleDream, but I'll do my best. Take care, my friends. Appreciate your time. See you soon.